damage outputs, but let's see what's coming through. It's going to be Chi-Yu and Koraidon. The sun is going to come into the sky. The fish is going to be ferocious, and on the opposing side, Incineroar and Calyrex have come out to meet them.
Yeah, we have seen Calyrex here with the setup set, which might be a little bit bulkier as well there, making sure he can get the nasty plot up. On the other side, we have the Choice Scarf Chi-Yu in the sun. Devastating damage, so you kind of need to make sure that maybe you opt for that fake out, but there's the Terra Ghost potential.
Yes, exactly. So this is where things are going to get interesting. Which Pokemon is going to be able to move first? Calyrex in a prime position to maybe try and get that Astral Barrage off and get some damage down. But I think critically, if you're Calyrex, maybe you want to go into that Terrestrialization. You don't want to have to run the risk of taking a Snarl from Chi-Yu.
Yeah, we talked about Chi-Yu being on the field and having offensive pressure, but keep in mind that it lowers the special defense of all Pokemon on the field. So now it also enables the Calyrex to deal more damage.
Yes, exactly. So then Calyrex can be in the prime position to get more damage, as you've mentioned. But at the same time, Chi-Yu, being that dark type, isn't going to worry too much about taking the Astral Barrage. The key thing is going to be where this fake out is going to land. Calyrex actually leaving the field saying, I don't want to have to lock in my Terrestrialization just yet. So we're going to switch things up and bring Raging Bolt out to play.
Yeah, Raging Bolt carries the boost to energy, but actually because the sun is already up, it doesn't need to use it, immediately gets a special attack boost. And it looks like Livio decided, I actually don't like my position, I don't like Calyrex on the field, so let me switch it out. Takes any fire type moves with the switching in Raging Bolt.
Yeah, exactly. And there we see the Terrestrialization come through. It's turning into that fire type. It's going to have to take the fake out though, so it's not going to be able to unleash its damage, unlike the Chi-Yu that can go straight for this overheat. A perfect Pokemon switching on the Raging Bolt, but look at that. That is a huge amount of damage. 2/3 taken away straight away.
Yeah, you resist the overheat, but Chi-Yu in sun, yeah, do you actually resist it? Keep in mind, it is now locked into overheat, an accurate move which can also miss, but it's now lowered its special attack by 2 stages and it kind of stuck on the field. So this allows Livio, even though he had to take that overheat and Raging Bolt is down to lower HP. Keep in mind, Koraidon is also intimidated, so both damage output from Koraidon and Chi-Yu are crippled here, and it allows maybe the Raging Bolt to survive any incoming moves and strike back.
Yeah, that's the thing. Without the Weezing on the field, the Intimidate will still go off. It is not the clear amulet, it's the ability shield, so that Intimidate is still going to be able to come through. So that's something Koraidon has to contend with, but the fact that you've got the Sun up, you've got that Terra Fire, if you do want to go for something like the Flame Charge, you're going to still be dealing a significant amount of damage and getting a speed boost to boot. Iron Hand's going to come in saying, hey, if you want to fake out, I want to fake out in the next turn. Instead, Koraidon taking to the skies, going for the collision course. That is going to be a solid knockout with a cheeky critical hit for style points into that Raging Bolt.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that critical hit actually megaed with the way they're trained here. But yeah, Parting Shot is really interesting move because Chi-Yu was kind of forced to switch out. So not only are you lowering attack or special attack of whatever is coming in, but you also repivot, get your maybe Calyrex in and have fake out active again.
I really like keeping the Chi-Yu in the back for later though, because as you've said, you're going to reset the drop, but also free up the item or the move that it's locked into by its item, and that could give a little bit more flexibility in the end game. Livio feeling more confident to bring this Calyrex back in now that Chi-Yu is off the field, and you don't have to worry about taking the fake out as you are still in that ghost type.
Yeah, it's just really difficult for Livio. He's trying to reposition himself, but on the other hand, he hasn't dealt really any damage yet beyond the fake out. And yeah, I think Calyrex just doesn't have enough damage output to take out knockouts here. So it looks like Joseph took that early lead just by leading the right 2 Pokemon and is currently in a commanding position.
And another Intimidate lockdown onto that Koraidon as well, so that's going to be neutralizing some of the offensive pressure it's capable of dealing out, as well as that Iron Hands. At least Iron Hands is in the position where it can maybe try and go for that fake out, but guess what? So can Incineroar.
Yep. Iron Hands after the Parting Shot and the Intimidate, also 2 stages of attack lowered actually, which make it quite difficult to do anything beyond a fake out and then maybe switch out. I think we have seen a Volt Switch actually on that set, so that helps you to reposition and maybe get a fresh Pokemon in there as well. So yeah, both Pokemon lowered in attack, damage output lowered a little bit, but we have to see how Calyrex can take advantage of that.
I mean, that's the thing. The Chi-Yu, for example, isn't going to worry about both of Livio's Pokemon. It could be an opportunity to try and bring it in, but no hard switches. Instead, fake out, Astral Barrage coming through on Livio's side, just trying to get some damage on the board. Does get a critical hit on that Koraidon, but Koraidon just able to hang on, keeping itself in the game to go for this Flare Blitz. The recoil inevitably will fell it at the end of this turn, but not before it's able to make its mark on that Calyrex. It's not able to get true revenge, though. Oh, I mean, it tries. It gets the burn. It is a special attacker, but critically, I think that's going to be about getting the tick of damage, but I don't think it's enough to get rid of Calyrex at the end of this turn. It's going to have to wait another one to reap those rewards.
I mean, it was a really nice parting gift here, surviving the critical hit, getting your Flare Blitz off, getting the burn here, tickle down one turn now here. We'll see that it will just barely survive with 10 HP, but 11 damage. So the next one will be enough to take it out. So yeah, the problem, however, you have a Choice Scarf Pokemon that can't protect away, and you have Iron Hands on the field, which also can protect away. On the other hand, however, Incineroar already used its Fake Out. You bring in Chi-Yu, you're the fast Pokemon on the field. So now the question is, how do you reposition your Iron Hands, and whatever is switching in, maybe with that Volt Switch, how is that taking it?
You've got to find a way to get through this Incineroar, and I feel like, you know, obviously Iron Hands, something like the Low-Kick is going to be able to do some good damage into it, but Chi-Yu, I think right now, having that speed advantage wants to deal with the Calyrex, because if Calyrex stays in, it's either going to take damage and go down, or it's going to go down at the end of the turn thanks to the burn. And if Livio wants to switch it into the fourth and final remaining Pokemon in the back, that I believe is the Ogerpon from the cheeky sneak peek we've been able to have a look at, Chi-Yu still wants to try and get some damage on the switch and doesn't want to let it in for free.
Yeah, there's the Ogerpon here. Heat Wave comes off, takes out the Calyrex. Decent damage on the Incineroar, and we'll see if that Iron Hands is going for a low kick or maybe it's switching out with the Volt Switch. We can assume, based on the pick so far, that maybe the last Pokemon is actually Calyrex Shadow on Joseph's end as well.
Yeah, you maybe want to keep that fourth and final Pokemon in the back to close up an endgame, and Livio now in a position where we're gonna, well, on Joseph's side at least, is going to be able to see that it is indeed that Ogerpon in play. Critically as well, I think the parting shot down into the Chi-Yu does mean that obviously it's going to be not dealing as much damage into the next turns as well, and it's that Volt Switch that you mentioned. I think this is a great opportunity for Joseph to start switching up Pokemon, bring that Fake Out in later on, because Livio only has 2 Pokemon remaining now. There's no way to switch out and avoid the Fake Out when it comes back in.
Yeah, so we see the Calyrex actually switching in here. It is the Encore set, so it doesn't have the option to go for any nasty plots if it wanted to. You mentioned the parting shot going into the Chi-Yu, lowering the special attack, but Sun is still up. Heat Wave is still hitting like a truck. The question is, how do you get around the Incineroar? Because it is resisting Heat Waves.
Yeah.
It is resisting Astral Barrage. But with these 2 super powerful Pokemon, it might still take a lot of damage into it in resisting Incineroar.
Yeah, that's the thing. Incineroar has the utility to go for the Fake Out and slow that Chi-Yu down. As you mentioned, it's Choice Scarf, so it has no utility to be able to protect, but then it does leave itself vulnerable to the Calyrex. My question, however, though, is the Ogerpon on Livio's side, because as you said, the sun is still in the sky. These Ivy Cudgels are going to hurt, and Livio still has the utility for terrestrialization. If you go into the Terra Fire, you're going to be able to get that Embody Aspect, get a +1 attack boost in the sun, Ivy Cudgel, potential critical hit. This could be really devastating in something like the Calyrex, so thank goodness for the Focus Sash on Joseph's side.
Yeah, the Focus Sash basically guarantees that you get 2 attacks over at least survive any incoming move. We see the Terra Fire here from the Ogerpon, boosting its attack further, getting the Sun boost as well. Chi-Yu actually stays on the field though, however.
Yeah, it is still in play, but it looks like Livio is really banking on this Ogerpon to try and get some damage out and clean up some Pokemon. No Fake Out coming through. Chi-Yu just going here for the Heat Wave, and I think this is good because you need to double up into the Calyrex to get rid of that Focus Sash. Astral Barrage will come through, though, first of all. It is going to be enough to remove the Ogerpon from play. However, I think Livio was hoping it was going to be able to hang on just a slither to be able to get the redemption and keep him in the game. But now, with this Grimnay boost coming through as well, I really don't know if there's much Livio can do to contend with the powerhouses on Joseph's side.
That was a really interesting turn because players towards the end of this format have actually opted for more and more defensive Ogerpon hard frames. And there's a chance maybe after that parting shot with the combination with the terrestrialization, like going for the Terra Fire on Ogerpon is really interesting because first you lose your grass type, which means you're no longer hit neutral by Heat Wave, so you resist the Heat Wave. And get an attack boost, so it's both defensive and offensive, but I think we just see Game 1 cleaning up here.
Yeah, the Heat Wave not able to get the damage, so Astral Barrage will have to come through and get the job done. Joseph Martin able to take Game 1 in this Swiss Round 4 in very commanding fashion with the capability of that Chi-Yu, the Koraidon, and I think critically that Calyrex at the end. The Focus Sash really coming in to pull through to the end game.
I mean, it fell all apart at the beginning of the turn where beginning of the game where just by the leads having to switch out defensively, taking an overheat onto a Raging Bolt, which was then certainly in range of a collision course as well. And despite all your like intimidates, parting shots, repositioning, Livio just never had a chance to like take back control of the game.
And I think as well, correct me if I'm wrong, but Zamazenta was benched in this game, so Livio was actually only bringing in 1 restricted.
Yep, 1 restricted all in on the Calyrex, and even though it got burned early on, it was still, yeah, it was still in, no, sorry. Oh yeah, no, that was the other Calyrex.
Yeah, the other Calyrex went down, but I mean, on Livio's side, the Calyrex was in a key position, you know, trying to get those Aspero Barrages down. It wasn't able to get the damage on the Koraidon, though. I think that was the big thing, and Koraidon could then go for that Flare Blitz in return.
Yeah, sorry, talking about the Calyrex and Zamazenta. Zamazenta was benched, but if you think about it, Terra Fire Koraidon, Choice Scarf Chi-Yu, right? These are all Pokemon, even Iron Hands being super bulky, taking body press like a champ. All these Pokemon are really well positioned into the Zamazenta, so you kind of need to consider, do you really want to bring Zamazenta? And if you bring it, you might be forced to tear it into Terra Water, which is then quite nicely positioned.
That's true, but as you mentioned, there's the Iron Hands in play. So if Pokemon like the Koraidon and Chi-Yu force that Water Terrestrialization to come through on Zamazenta, Iron Hands is like, hello, let's charge up my electric type attacks. The Volt Switch and the Wild Charge are going to be able to do significant damage into that Zamazenta. So I can see why Livio did bench it, but I always think that's never a move that you really want to do. You always feel like you've got a little bit more of an uphill battle to climb when you are one restricted Pokemon down.
Yeah, if your opponent actually manages to just have the right team or bring the right team that forces one of the most common archetypes in Cataract Shadow and Zamazenta to not bring one of their restricteds, you're in a really commanding position.
Definitely. You always have the advantage as soon as you're getting out there on turn 0 with the match lineups. But these trainers need to try and see what adaptations are going to come through. I wonder if Zamazenta will make a return to glory here, or whether Livio has a way to put that Chi-Yu in check. Weezing and Koraidon coming out front and center, though. This is going to be able to stop the Intimidates from coming through and, you know, making things more difficult for that Koraidon. But then I like Livio thinking, if the sun is going up in the sky, I'm bringing my 2 fire-type Pokemon in. Even though the Incineroar doesn't have any fire-type moves, it still, I think, will just give it a boost.
Yeah, the Fake Out, the Intimidate not really coming into effect here, but you still have Fake Out. Some trainers opt for the Sword Stance set on the Ogerpon, which would be great positioned here. But with the Follow Me, you kind of don't have that setup option. So I guess this is the lead where more like want to spread damage out early enough. Did you see that? Livio didn't bring any restricted to that game.
That is wild. You know, in game 1, only bringing 1. In game 2, he's like, who needs restricted Pokemon? I'm going to win with my Ulla 4. So let's see how this is going to come through. It looks like a slightly more passive lead coming out from Livio's side, but I think that's mostly because the Weezing is blocking off those abilities.
I was thinking passive lead as well, but I think Livio is saying my restricted in this set is actually my Ogerpon. All out offensive, taking advantage of the sun, going for the Terra turn 1, maybe even picking up the KO, but that Weezing is really bulky.
Yeah, we don't see the Embody aspect activate, of course, because Weezing's on the field. Koraidon not going to be doing anything this turn either, thanks to that Fake Out. And Ogerpon now in prime position to go for the Ivy Cudgel. It wants to get its ability back in line, smacks down into that Weezing, is not able to get the KO as Poison Gas will reach out across the field. This is obviously going to be putting a little bit of a spanner in the works for Livio. Pokemon are going to be poisoned. They're going to have a little bit of a timer on them, but it's still early on. They've still got plenty of HP to play around with.
Yeah, I mean, now having the poison out there, maybe having your Iron Hands in the back, which always buys you turns with a Fake Out, then can reposition with Volt Switch. Really interesting, like, game plan from both players. Like, Livio saying, hey, I'm going to dish out all the damage with my Ogerpon at the beginning, and then maybe Raging Bolt coming up, cleaning up with Thunderclap. It also actually runs Thunderbolt and Thunderclap, so it has, like, both options on the electric side.
Yeah, exactly. So having a little bit of flexibility in that Raging Bolt. We've seen how bulky Raging Bolt can be in the past as well, particularly in an endgame situation. So if Raging Bolt can get in somehow around a poison, then it could be in a great position for Livio.
Yeah, and now the Incineroar is kind of threatened here with the Collision Course, and the question is, do you, like, they can't Terra away. Sorry, they can't Terra away, so they might have to switch out here.
That's the thing, Terrestrialization has already been used as that Collision Course that you mentioned is coming down. It's going to be ferocious into the Incineroar, so much so that it is able to get a knockout, and that is a great swing of momentum in favor for Joseph.
Yeah, you might not even care about the Rocky Helmet damage here, because that KO is crucial. 1 Pokemon down. We know what's in the back. Joseph doesn't know it, so we'll have to see how that plays out. There's the Ivy Cudgel, this time into the Koraidon. Resisted, but still decent damage.
I think I would have loved to have seen that going down into the Weezing for this exact reason, to stop the toxic spikes from coming into play. Pokemon like the Rillaboom and the Raging Bolt are not going to appreciate this at all. And now that they're here, you know, there's no poison type to be able to suck them up from joining the field. So that's a great way for Joseph to start setting up an endgame win condition.
Yeah, and as long as Weezing is on the field, we won't see the grassy terrain activate either. So any additional turn you give Weezing to stay on the field and negate all your abilities, we saw that Photosynthesis didn't activate either, right? So it's really doing a great job. And on the other side, if you take care of the Weezing, well, then you let Koraidon attack for free again.
Honestly, this Weezing is running away with the show right now. You might think it's about the restricted, but Weezing really showing why it is such a good utility on this team. Being able to put these poisons in play and also providing Koraidon with the respect and flexibility to keep its ability in play with those collision courses as well. That's something Raging Bolt doesn't want to have to deal with.
Yeah, really interesting side aspect of poison is not only like slowly tickles down the Pokemon, but it also might help you to take out crucial KOs like we saw in the Incineroar, which might have been trained more defensively. Here's the collision course though.
Look at that, over 50% damage. This Koraidon is unstoppable. Ogerpon really trying to slow down the pace of play with this Ivy Cudgel. It will connect into Koraidon, it will get the KO, but once again, Livio just leaving this Weezing alone.
Yeah, Koraidon down. If we expect there to be Calyrex in the back as well, then actually though, first let's play this turn out, Thunderbolt, and Joseph's down 2 Pokemon.
Okay, a little bit of a breathing room here for Livio. You've been able to fell both the opposing Pokemon critically. You're getting rid of that neutralizing gas and body aspect and finally activate. There's a cheeky +1 for your efforts as well on that Raging Bolt. You're going to be able to be in the sun.
Yeah, I don't want to see too far in the future, but one play I could see here is like protecting your Ogerpon, getting a Thunderclap out on the Calyrex, and then maybe switching in Rillaboom to get a Grassy Glide. And with that double combination of priority, maybe you have a chance. We see Chi-Yu and Calyrex, so no Iron Hands.
Not going to lie, though, this is a scary combination. We're so used to seeing Chi-Yu with something like the Flutter Mane, but it's traded out a Ghost type for a Restricted and one with a Focus Sash, no less, as well.
Yeah, all the abilities activating now. Chi-Yu also on the field. Raging Bolt, special attack boosted here. We see Rillaboom in the back. Calyrex with the Focus Sash.
Yeah.
Like a little bit more survivability. On the other end, the Choice Scarf here being the fast Pokemon on the field. So it's going to be difficult to position around those super fast Pokemon hitting super hard.
At least you know that the Chi-Yu can't protect. It's guaranteed to attack, so you're guaranteed to land a Thunderclap into that position. But at what cost? Because I don't think it's going to be able to get the KO at this point, enabling the Chi-Yu to be able to retaliate, and something like a Heat Wave is going to be devastating. It may not get the KO, but with that Poison Chip, it could easily get the knockout at the end of the turn.
Yeah, and with everything already being so low, you might even be able to afford to go for a Dark Pulse instead, not having to risk the Heat Wave missed opportunity, and we see the Terra on the opposing side as well.
I mean, even if you do miss the Heat Wave, you've got this Calyrex with that Focus Sash Terrestrialization to boost up its Astral Barrages that are guaranteed to connect, that would be able to start cleaning up this game. Joseph really locking in, trying to see the victory. Ogerpon playing defensively, and I think it's one of our first defensive plays we've seen in this set from these trainers. Going for that Spiky Shield as Thunderclap connects down onto Chi-Yu, does over 50%, but it's got to land another one. It's got to find a way through this turn. Chi-Yu actually not even going for its big damaging attack, instead going for the Snarl. It is, in a way, getting the KO here onto that Raging Bolt, going to be lowering its special attack, but critically the poison going to be cleaning up there. Maybe thinking, hey, could Calyrex be switching in? That would be kind of wild, considering there's an Astral Barrage also following through here.
Yeah, I was talking about that potential to go for Dark Pulse, but I had another sneak peek at the team sheet, and it's actually running Ruination, which is not a move you want to lock yourself in this late in the game, because it will never pick up a KO unless the opponent is exactly on 1 HP. So Dark Pulse instead, Snarl instead of Heat Wave here.
That makes a lot of sense as well. Ruination isn't going to be able to get KOs because it always does only 50% damage to what's remaining. But the Snarl also has the chance to miss though, right?
Yeah, Snarl can also miss, just as Heat Wave, but it is no longer resisted by that Ogerpon Hard Flame, so it will deal a little bit more damage. I saw that potential of going for Thunderclap and then Grassy Glide to Calyrex to pick up the knockout, but we actually saw the Thunderclap going to Chi-Yu, so now maybe with the double Grassy Glide, you could take out the Chi-Yu, but then Calyrex still with Focus Sash intact, right? It will just run away with this game.
I mean, time's a ticking on these poison counters as well. Rillaboom in the fray. It really comes down to whether it wants to go try and get that fake out down into Chi-Yu or try and see if it can get some damage down with the grassy terrain.
Yeah, but I mean, not only Thunderclap and Grassy Glide, maybe a double Grassy Glide to Calyrex is also an option to pick the knockout out. So Joseph really needs to make sure that he's considering a protect play.
Yeah.
Depending on the targeting here.
I mean, you can actually not worry too much about this Chi-Yu. You've got that Grassy Glide coming straight down into the Calyrex. There it is. That's a knockout. Calyrex goes down. I mean, a fantastic observation by you there, Barish, realizing that the Calyrex was indeed the threat. The Snarl on the Chi-Yu side is nothing that these two physical attackers are really going to worry about. They can utilize their terrain, their speed advantage to get rid of that restricted.
I mean, poison is really important, but only if you can also protect in between to make it even more effective. So now Chi-Yu heals back a little bit, but is locked into Snarl, can't protect. You get another double attack off, and Snarl can miss at any point as well. The question for Ogerpon is, are you going for that Grassy Glide to get guaranteed damage off, or are you at this point maybe banking on the chance that Snarl would miss and you go for even more powerful Ivy Cudgel?
I feel like you would just go for the double Grassy Glide because you've got the grassy terrain to try and boost that up as well. You know that Chi-Yu is going to be faster, so you want to try and get that edge. And even if it doesn't get the KO this turn, you have the potential with Rillaboom. It's not going to go down to a Snarl anyway. It could go for it on that next turn. So actually, this Rillaboom coming in the end game, no restricted in this game for Livio, evening up the score here in Swiss round 4.
It is crazy to say that we're in this last moment of restricted Pokemon, and Livio says, you know what? I don't even need them. He's overcoming Koraidon, Chi-Yu, and like Calyrex Shadow Rider, all without any restricted by himself.
I mean, Weezing at the beginning of that game looked in such dominant form for Joseph, and I loved the strategy that was being executed, the way you were setting up all this poison for the end game, but then Livio thinking, I've just got to keep my calm. I need to eliminate some of the key pieces so that when Rillaboom is in play with that Ogerpon that you said was like a pseudo-restricted, masquerading as that Pokemon here, can be in a position to shine, whether it's with Ivy Cudgel or Grassy Glide.
I'm just so fascinated. We're talking about, hey, maybe Livio needs to reconsider like bringing Zamazenta, but he was like, you know what, not only am I not bringing Zamazenta, I will also bench my Calyrex and go like full non-restricted in this matchup. Really interesting to like see that game plan, right? And then execute it so beautifully. We've seen towards the end of the game that double Grassy Glide, as we've seen, could have picked up both Pokemon. So it wasn't safe for either of the players to be like, hey, I'll just protect my Calyrex, because if Livio like read into that, he could have also double targeted into the Chi-Yu and then afterwards take out the Calyrex.
I think there was such composure to the way Livio approached this match, particularly when it came to that Weezing. I was sort of saying, get that Weezing off the field, get your abilities back online, but Livio actually targeted down the partner Pokemon most of the time, identifying or maybe accepting, I'm going to get poisoned, it's going to happen, let Weezing do its thing, and I will remove the bigger threat next to it so that in the end game I can clean up.
We just see how powerful priority moves can be. Thunderclap coming off before you get knocked out. Grassy Glide on both Pokemon here in grassy terrain, having priority as well. And just like picking KOs up before they get to attack.
Yeah, and I actually kind of missed that towards the end. The Ogerpon being able to have that Grassy Glide priority as well. We're so used to seeing it on Rillaboom. And Ogerpon, particularly when the sun is up, kind of wants to lean into that Ivy Cudgel. But the priority, the speed control, so critical in this game, and something that has been testament to the victory of so many trainers. Which trainer is able to get the Icy Wind drop here? Who's able to get the speed boost here from Flame Charge, for example? And all these little crucial increments of speed can be what makes a match.
Yeah, and it's really a testament to both these players' skill set. We talked early on how like the Weezing was so well positioned, got all the Toxics off, was in a commanding position, but then it looks like they swapped out their leads.
Hey, it looks like we're seeing a complete change from Livio. We've got Zamazenta for the first time in the set, front and center, paired up with that Ogerpon on the opposing side. Joseph going for a very tried and tested combination. We've got Koraidon here, but we've got the Chi-Yu as well.
I think one underrated or not like so much discussed aspect of Pokemon is the pressure in team preview as well. Not having brought any restrictor last game, it now forced the opponent to reconsider their plan as well. And we see that both of them swap up.
Yes, but these are the two Pokemon that you said that the Zamazenta does not want to see, the Koraidon and the Chi-Yu. So Joseph has called this lead perfectly.
Yeah, call it perfectly here. Question is, Zamazenta really doesn't want to swap out. So at this point, you're kind of committed, and to like withstand any of those fire moves, you might want to go for Terra Water early on in this game. And there isn't like a clear way to punish that. But keep in mind, Chi-Yu is also running that Ruination, which regardless of typing, regardless of your like Pokemon, it will always deal 50%.
It's not going to be dealing anything this turn, however, as Joseph switches things up, gets rid of the Chi-Yu and brings a restricted to the field. Both of them out here for Joseph. Unnerve on the field, as well as that potential for Grimnade boost a little bit later on. Looks like we're going to see Terrestrialization straight away as well, and to no surprise, it's going to be down on that Koraidon, once again dropping its Dragon and Fighting typing and becoming a fully fledged Fire type. Yeah,
making sure that both those Flame Charges and Flare Blitzes will deal extra damage here as well. Interesting swap going out to that Calyrex here. Zamazenta wants to be sure, hey, what's going on here? What is maybe the Chi-Yu locking itself into? But it actually swapped out perfectly into this double protect.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a double protect on Livio's side. That spiky shield coming in here. Flame Charge was going down into that Pokemon as well, so it's going to have to take a little bit of chip as well from those spikes on the shield that the Ogerpon was holding up. But now it's a new board position.
Yeah, I mean, that is a very, very smart swap there, because I mean, you could Terra Ghost if you wanted to play around the body press, but you can also just switch in a Ghost-type Pokemon to also be immune. So if there was any body press going into the Chi-Yu, it would have just been immune into that Calyrex.
And I think as well, you don't want to have to utilize your Terrestrialization in a defensive way on Joseph's team. You want to be able to use it for offensive capabilities with the Koraidon in play here, being able to deal that extra damage in the sun. Now you have to wonder on Livio's side, how are you going to neutralize both of these threats? Are you going to target down the physical or the special attacker?
Yeah, it's difficult to position around just because they're both super fast, and Koraidon and Calyrex both have super strong moves here and he actually decides to swap out the Zamazenta and forgive the defensive boost.
I think this might be for the best, though, because the risk of getting that double protect is too high. You don't want to take the unnecessary damage from Koraidon, and Calyrex can still wreak havoc with those Astral Barrages, whereas Incineroar, Intimidate, and resisting the Astral Barrage is a really nice pivot in. It will, of course, connect through. Ogerpon, not so lucky, takes over 50% here. Critical hit on Incineroar as well, really showing that it was a great Pokemon to switch into that attack as the Flame Charge comes through, but it finds its mark on that Ogerpon. It is still able to hang on, however, so Ogerpon in a position where it can get play. It goes for that Ivy Cudgel. It hasn't got the +1, but it will do significant damage to that Calyrex and put it in range of being KO'd shortly.
Yeah, we saw in the last game how it's just not bulky enough to take the double attack here, but now this time the combination of Astral Barrage and the Flare Charge just not being strong enough. It's a very low base power move. It does give you a speed boost.
Yes.
It helps in other ways, but it's just not strong enough to take the knockout. And now Calyrex being so low, Focus Sash being broken, you're now in range of any attack, including like Thunderclap or maybe a Grassy Glide. I
think that's the thing, though. It forces Livio to have to go for priority here, not only because you need to get that chip on the Calyrex before the speedy Pokemon can get an Astral Barrage in your way, but at the same time, Koraidon trying to boost up its speed as well, and it can now switch on to one of the more offensive moves. Fake Out going to slow down the pace of play, though, not allowing Koraidon to unleash itself just yet, as the Calyrex just goes for the Astral Barrage. I feel like on Livio's side here, you just have to accept your fate. Ogerpon is going to go down, but at the expense of not only a Pokemon, but for a Grimnay boost on the opposing side.
Yeah, it's really... that was such a interesting gambit here, because I think Livio was saying, hey, I might have Whirlaboom in the back, and you kind of don't want to lose your Calyrex. So he was saying, I have that switch in and priority Grassy Glide, so you either protect or maybe even better swap out, so I get a strong Ivy Cudgel into that slot.
But now as revealed, it was the Raging Bolt, so there is no grassy terrain to contend with. There was no priority. The bluff didn't work. Joseph saw through it. You do at least now have the Thunderclap potential.
Thunderclap potential for sure. I think the Sash set was running Encore, so there's always some options around that. You can also Encore the Fake Out here on the Incineroar.
Oh,
so
true.
Calyrex is so well positioned. It doesn't have to fear the Thunderclap, but on the other hand, Raging Bolt on Livio's side, not only running the Thunderclap, but also the Thunderbolt to play around that.
The thing is, I think Calyrex has a really safe Encore. Shut down the Incineroar, and guess what? If it switches out, it's going to be that Zamazenta, so allow Koraidon to go down into it. Koraidon has so much HP remaining right now, it doesn't have to worry too much about what that Raging Bolt is going to throw its way. But Raging Bolt is going to go on the Terrestrialization and say, hey, you're not worried about my damage? Well, here's a little bit of a boost. I'm turning into a fully fledged electric type. Terrestrialization going to boost that up further.
Yeah, it's another gambit here, because if...
Oh, and the Helping Hand!
Helping Hand as well. This might be enough, but on the other side, are you actually allowing the Calyrex to also get an attack off? There's a Protect on the Koraidon. He might have read this. Livio's not happy about this.
Yeah, not happy to see the Protect come through. Calyrex also going for a Protect. All the cards stacking up in Livio's favor, but at least here, it wasn't a case of a missed target. Both of them going for the Protect, meaning you cannot find your mark, and it's failed. So we don't actually know who it went into.
Yeah, that's really crucial information that Joseph doesn't have. We talked about the Encore pressure into the Fake Out. Helping Hand is such a great move for that. With its increased priority, it will actually go before Helping Hand and make sure that it can't be Encored into like something like the Fake Out that was used before. Yeah, so now it's come down to another chance of going for Thunderclap. And as we mentioned, Joseph doesn't know where it was originally targeted.
I think that's the thing, though, as you said, that Helping Hand is not the worst thing to be Encored into if you're going to help out a powerhouse like Raging Bolt, and particularly as Livio is banking on it right now, utilizing that Terrestrialization. It could be exactly what is needed to get a knockout. Koraidon has a little bit of chip, but now the decision comes through. What are you going to do with this Raging Bolt? It looks like it's going to be just going straight for the switch. Livio throwing complete caution to the winds here. Possibly this means that the Incineroar is going for something like a knockoff, trying to deal with that opposing Calyrex. As Koraidon moves first, Collision Course is going to come through. It finds its mark on the Incineroar, completely removes it from play.
Yeah, it looks like another gambit here. It's swapped out, going for that Zamazenta, but Joseph might have just seen through that again, goes for the Collision Course, and maybe an Astral Barrage as well. It's actually an Encore that will fail, though.
Okay, a sigh of relief for the Zamazenta, because I was going to say at +1 and single target, that was going to do some devastating damage. The sun has also critically gone away from the sky. Raging Bolt can come back in, though, however. It is still in that Terrestrialization form, and it has that boosted energy, so it doesn't care that the sun is gone. It can still get its Photosynthesis boost, get its special attack up.
So yeah, what looked like maybe a tricky situation to get out of, Livio was like, one more turn of Sun. Maybe I can play a little bit defensive this turn. I still have my booster energy to get my boost next turn anyway when the Sun is down. But now Flare Blitz no longer boosted through the Sun, and also Orichalcum Pulse also not boosting the attack. So maybe Zamazenta, despite not having a defensive boost, might still have a chance to like live any of the incoming moves.
The issue is Koraidon has the utility to switch out. Joseph still has all 4 Pokemon remaining, so you can bring that Sunbeam back in a little bit later on. Even if you're not able to utilize it, a Pokemon like the Chi-Yu that we also know is in the back there with that Choice Scarf is going to be able to utilize it in the end game. So Livio now is on a time limit. You only have 2 Pokemon remaining. Every single move, every single target is going to be critical. Calyrex goes for the Protect. No reaction coming through on Livio. Looks like he has targeted down into this Koraidon. The Thunderclap comes through, but look at that, it fails.
It actually fails. There's no attacking move. It's Collision Course though on the other hand. So yeah, guess wrong there. Calyrex protected itself. Collision was coming off super effective damage into Zamazenta, but because there was no Sun Boost, it barely does half.
Yeah, the body press not enough to deal with this Koraidon, but Livio remaining very calm and composed in that Thunderclap moment. Now, do you go for the Calyrex again, or do you try and deal with Koraidon?
I mean, we looked, Zamazenta here, it might be in range of another Collision Course or Flare Blitz, either way. So it's really, it comes down to, you might have to like protect and maybe take out the Koraidon first and then later have the pressure. Keep in mind that the Chi-Yu in the back can play around the Thunderclap, so that's another target, but you also don't want to take an Astral Barrage into that Raging Bolt.
But I think the Chi-Yu has all its HP remaining, correct?
Correct.
So it can maybe take 1 Thunderclap, so you have a little bit of flexibility in there. Raging Bolt just going defensive though, going for the Protect, doesn't want to play the Thunderclap mind game on this turn. Instead, maybe having a little look at what's coming through. Collision Pause will be the move choice once again, dealing with this Zamazenta. We got to see it in play, but we barely got to see it do too much at all. And the issue now with that Protect, you are a sitting duck for Encore.
Yeah, it looks like Livio just didn't get that call right here. Encore, Joseph says, hey, I have enough pressure on the field. You might want to like take the Thunderclap knockout on Koraidon, but I can just Encore you and then play around the Thunderclap for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Livio looking to this Raging Bolt to see if it's got any wiggle room into this game. Joseph knowing that you have all 4 Pokemon remaining, so 1 Thunderclap might be able to get a KO, but Joseph's still in a commanding position to obviously take this game.
Yeah, we might see the Encore here just for like a last straw and then making sure that your Pokemon in the back can just take care of this Thunderclap Encore Pokemon. If it is, for example, the Weezing, you can just Poison Gas it, never actually attack yourself, and it just slowly tickles down while it's being Encored. But there's only so many more Thunderclaps I can actually use. So let's see, it is the Iron Hands. So now it is locked into Thunderclap, cannot protect. So it's a very easy fake out Astral Barrage.
Exactly. As you can see, can only use Thunderclap, has to keep going for that. Fake out Astral Barrage is going to be able to do so much damage, particularly with the Grimnade boost that this Calyrex has been able to stack up. There comes the fake out, slowing down what the Raging Bolt is capable of doing.
And it might be a bish bash bosh, as you like to say.
Yes, I do. There we go. There it is. It's down. Raging Bolt has been felled, meaning Joseph Martin is going to take this roller coaster ride of a Swiss Round 4 in a 2-1 victory.
Congratulations to Joseph for taking this game, and commiserations for Livio. He's not out of the tournament yet. Currently